Hey, all. So, filmed a podcast recently with Ryan Schroeder from Color by Ryan. It's a great chat. We go into his career. He was actually the winner of our HL15 2.0 giveaway. Talked about what he's going to do with it, his current home lab setup, the Frankenstein system, an HL6 that he had created before winning this that he's running for a number of years. A lot of good stuff in there. Really interesting person. I recommend you check out his channel on YouTube, Color by Ryan. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the podcast, the episode, the webisode, whatever you want to call it. First question here would be kind of when you first opened it up, unboxed it, like how was that whole experience? What was your kind of setup, like networking wise, drives, etc.? If you could walk me through that.
Right. I mean, it's always fun to have the UPS or FedEx, don't remember, have them show up with a huge box.
Yeah.
It was kind of part of I'm building like a bit of a home suite here, which I'm in right now for Color, my post-production practice. Mm-hmm. And so, new displays come in bigger boxes and lots of Amazon packages. So it's quite fun, and it's, juggling a lot of packages, but yeah, fun to unbox it. Nice. It came together, came very nicely put together. Pop off the top and, have this playground of sorts of, I think the thing has like 8 PCI Express slots or 7 or something like that, just like a ton, right?
Oh yeah.
So Epic has lanes for it all, and which is very exciting to think of what you could do with it, especially with Proxmox, which is what I threw on it, and
nice.
A number of machines. Lots of pass-through, lots of pass-through going on. Yeah, I started filling it up pretty quick. I had 8 12 terabyte drives that I threw in it right away from my old system. It's already ZFS, so I could just put it in and import it, and it was good to go. Talking to a guy on Facebook Marketplace now about a bunch of 10 terabyte SAS drives that he's got, so maybe I'll just fill the entire thing with that. The more drives, snappier it is. Oh, yeah. So yeah, threw that in there. I've almost got all the slots filled as well. I ordered the 6-bay SSD 3D printed thing from you guys as well.
Oh yeah, the bracket, the extender.
The little bracket. Yeah. So I put that in there. Put 4 1 terabyte SSDs in there. That is currently just a little ZFS 1 that's taking care of all the backups of my VMs. I throw it all on there.
Nice.
Just using the built-in NVMe for the boot and the actual VMs as well, because I don't need a ton of storage for them. Yeah. As for the slots, I put a NVIDIA 470 Super, I think, in the one that's passed through to Windows 11. It was one of the few cards that's the right length. Yeah. On another note, I see you guys are releasing the larger version of this fairly soon, so I'm excited to see. It looks like it could fit a bit.
Yeah, it's full-size GPU, the HL15 Beast. We're going to be displaying that at TwitchCon actually between the 17th and 19th, I believe it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna tune in to check that out.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, so I've got that card in there. Trying to think what else. Obviously, the HBA is probably next, and then I've got like a 8-port USB 3.2 high point controller, so I can plug in a bunch of external drives because I got to like dump footage onto the thing quite often. So that's passed through to, that whole card is passed through to like Rocky Houston VM that's managing the ZFS array. I've got like a Blackmagic mini recorder card in there, so I can, that's passed through to Windows, so I can, run SDI into it and stream my color sessions, record, capture stuff, whatever. And some other cards that I can't even remember at this point. I'm sure there are. I threw a 25 gig NIC in there as well.
Nice.
That I'm still messing around with because I'm trying to figure out SRIOV so I can do between the virtual machines to get as fast as I can. The virtual bridge on Proxmox is interesting. I'm wondering if I can get just a little more juice out of the,
push it
the
for all you
inter
can.
VM performance. So we'll see how that goes. I'm still in the middle of that. That's one of the more complicated things that's not mission critical. So,
Nice.
see how that goes.
Are you, have you made the move to Proxmox 9 or are you still running 8?
So I first put on 9 because it's a brand new machine. I thought it's the most, I'm in Vancouver. I was in LA for a weekend, the weekend after I got the machine. So I set it up enough that I could remote into it. So I'm in LA outside of my conference. I spent till like 1 a.m. every evening remoting in and like configuring this machine from, halfway across the continent.
Dedicated.
It was time that I had. I wasn't going to do anything else. I mean, I guess I could have explored LA a bit more than I did. Whatever. So I was trying to set up Proxmox 9 and I cannot remember. I'm sure I wrote down what issue I had, but it just became complicated. I just became complicated with one particular thing I was doing. And I'm exploring also using, AI to help me figure out this stuff, or at least kind of get me in the right zone.
Yeah.
I found that there's like this line that I cross when it's like starts giving me like pretty long scripts and it says punch all these in. I'm like, I think there's a simpler way to do this. And I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And we were getting to that point with Proxmox 9. I thought I'm just going to go with 8 and it worked. And so I haven't migrated yet. I'm going to see how, once I figure everything out, I'll run the upgrade script.
Yeah.
So and with a thing that I can roll back to, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I was a little lucky. Mind you, mine is just a giant testing bed that I've had set up for, going on 5 years now. It's not set up optimally at all. It's a RAID Z1, 10 disks. Like there's a 3 10s, 2 12s in there. Just a random like team group SSD that's being used for ISOs. And it's like, it's just crying out at this point. But I did put the all the internals in an HL15 chassis. So it's, what's that old saying? It's like slapping makeup on a pig or something like that. It's like, it looks great on the outside, but the inside is just, oof. Yeah, I've not been taking care of it.
It reminds me of, I think this commercial that, I think it was like late 90s or early 2000s. From a company that my dad was working at. I think it was EDS. They did like business systems integration and stuff. Anyway, they did this commercial that was like pretty awesome VFX for the time, but it's like a passenger plane in flight and it's like half built and everyone's like, got their clothes whipping in the wind. And the whole idea is like, we can like, the reality of businesses or the machines that we're working on right here, more to the point, is that you're like building it while it's in flight, or you're like developing it while it's in the air, like working, and you're like swapping out pieces. And there's guys out on the wings, putting on the sheet metal, and the roof of the plane is still not on there, but it's working enough that it's working.
Yeah. We have an MVP. We have a minimal viable product. We're good. We'll get to our destination. Yeah. Speaking of VFX, do you watch Corridor Crew?
Yes, I do. I just watched a bunch of their stuff
I just started getting into them, and I seen this one fascinating one where it was a whole commercial from the 80s or 90s, and it was this couple on a beach. They had it was for some kind of sports car, and it's red car, and they got off of the beach towel. There was an image of the car on it, and then it like was just seamless that they got into the car, drove off from the towel. I'll have to send you the link after this, but I was just blown away how they did this. And especially back then in the 80s, early 90s, I was like, I could not tell how they did this, but great thing is they break it down. So, but yeah, I've been on a binge. One of our architects here is always watching them on his lunch break. And I'm just like hovering over like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. They've done a number of, old technology. Yeah, the one I watched last night, they got a very old, I can't remember what Mac from like the early 90s from Linus, and they were given a bunch of jobs on Fiverr, and they had to figure out like, can I make something in like Photoshop 1.0 for these clients on Fiverr? Very entertaining, obviously. Or even they did, the one guy did tried to recreate the bullet time, the Matrix bullet time shot, right?
Yeah.
Using technology now, knowing how hard it was to do that shot in the late 90s. But that kind of stuff is just great fun to watch. And it's like the whole production and editing of it is like TV entertainment quality. So it's fun stuff.
And especially coming from like my side of things, I don't do anything with editing, film, anything like that. It's just a good escape that's like, okay, this thing that's completely out of my realm, and seeing how it's done in the background is just so fascinating. I love it. So with the system that you have and everything right now, obviously, you have Color by Ryan that you mentioned there. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that and how that all works, how the HL15 kind of ties into that, like, because I remember we had a previous chat before when you initially ran or won the system there, and it was very interesting. But obviously, we want to get that out to an audience there because it is something cool. It's something that we want to share out. So I mean, if you want to get
for this machine, I want to try this term. Integration hell came up. I wanted to try to see just to find out how much can I do in one box, because I've got limited space. I live in Vancouver. I've got 3 kids. Real estate is expensive. My place is small, and so this machine in particular is at home. I've got a studio that I share with some production companies. They've got space. We've got a full size server rack. We've got one of your enterprise products in there, and been running quite happily for years now. But I needed something for home, just because I got lots of other personal projects and stuff I mess around with. And how I've got that set up is I use Syncthing on both ends, and I just sync my projects as I need them. So I can go to either place and it'll be waiting for me in exactly the same state. And I don't have to think about relinking any media, which is always a pain. So that's kind of the main thing, is just no matter where I am, I'm talking like film production, no matter where I am, where, I'm still talking 10 terabytes. So I'm not going to take my laptop with an SSD and sit on the beach yet, although that's maybe one day the dream. So, within reason, wherever I am, I want to be able to hit these projects. And then of course what I do is mainly color. So that means as soon as the edit of whatever commercial, documentary, TV show that I'm working on, they send it to me. I link it up to their, multi-terabyte camera masters from whatever they shot on, and make the picture pretty. So that requires some quite specifically tuned technology, mainly in displays and control surfaces, but also just like things like latency. Like I need things to be fast. There's a lot of processing that goes into that. So I need real-time playback, even though there's a lot of processing happening. So some things that go into that are some intelligent caching of the finished frames. So that's one thing I wanted the HL15 to help out with. So I can load up the project. I use DaVinci Resolve. So I load up the project on the Windows VM on the HL15. And then I can get it to do a cache of all the media so that I can color on top of that. So the computer's not trying to sort of debayer the source media. It's essentially playing back lightweight ProRes at that point. And then I can also cache if there's like some very, render intensive effects. I can cache all that, do that in the background. And then really that just means real-time playback when I'm needing to see that, or the client's needing to see that. I mean, there's nothing more sweat inducing when, oh my gosh, it's not playing back right, and the client's in the room. I'm the professional, and this is not supposed to be happening. So that it'll do that, and then B, when it comes time to render it out, it's 10 times faster than real time, right? So I can just kick it out the door, upload it right away, and and not having to wait for any of that. And then I can get it to do the final renders too if I need to use my main machine here for getting on to the next project. And then other things like I alluded to, so clients can't be in the room all the time, so I'll stream the feed of the color session to them. So I'll use send an SDI feed from my main station to that box, and I'm just using OBS with a product called Looper.io, and I'll stream it out to them with that. So we'll do hardware H.264 encoding. I don't believe H.265 is supported yet with that, but anyway. So it could be doing any or all of those things at once, and while backing up my VMs, while making sure my ZF, all my data is fine. I've scheduled smart checks and scrubs fairly regularly. So I kind of got a lot happening in the one box, and so the goal was rather than just having a whole stack of machines to do each of those parts, I've got an Epic with 32 threads and a whole bunch of lanes. So let's see, get my money's worth out of all of it.
And this is kind of why I was from that initial call that we first had, because I was like, wow, he's doing things that I don't even do on my Proxmox system, or that's why I was. Oh man, I cannot wait to talk to him again on this, to kind of see where things are at. And the fact that you're doing a lot of it on a Windows VM in Proxmox with all that pass through and everything, were there any settings or any config changes that you had to do besides allowing PCI pass through, or doing any of the normal Windows VM tunings like write back cache for the disks, anything that you find you had to change for your specific workflow?
The main things that come to mind now, I'll say I organize my entire life in Notion, and so I keep notes of what I'm doing, so that when it's now 4 weeks later, I'm like, what? Yeah,
Obsidian for me, so I know where you're at.
yeah. So a lot of the notes are in there. So there's probably a lot more that's what's going to come to mind. The main thing was actually just setting up some of the things in the BIOS. That BIOS is very extensive in I think it's the Rome D8, T2, I think, that I have in there. Is that right? Yeah. Yep. So there was a few, so obviously turning on, I think IO MMU was, everyone said do that first. But then there was actually a few more settings that may have just been, now that I'm thinking about it, for SRIOV to work. I think there's 3 more settings in the BIOS that you really needed to dig through and enable for that to all sort of work well. Okay. What those are, I can't remember off the top of my head, complicated names. I don't know what they mean. I just found that this is what you do. Yeah. So that was one of them. There was a lot of, when I started out, I don't know if this was just reading forums and or what ChatGPT was telling me, but I got the impression that you needed to do a lot more careful placements of cards to make sure they can get passed through correctly. I actually found that not much of a problem. I ended up just kind of moving cards in different slots so they fit better, and they just passed through, and it was great. So I didn't really worry about it too much after a little while. I mean, I'm sure there's boards where that's a major concern. Yeah. In this one, it hasn't been as much of one, or maybe I've just got lucky. One thing I did find out was that I was trying to pass through. There's 2 NVMe slots on the board. One of them is the you guys send with the OS already loaded on it, but I put another one in there, and I wanted to use that second one to pass straight through to the Rocky VM as the level 2 cache, right? As soon as I try to boot that VM with that thing passed through to it, the whole machine would freeze. Eventually, I kind of figured, I think they're on the same controller or bus or something, and so I'd basically be interrupting the OS drive when I did that. I'm pretty sure that was going on. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going on. So as soon as I just got that's the other card I put in there, just a 4-slot NVMe PCI Express. So as soon as I threw it in there, added a couple more NVMe because I want, that's actually for a scratch volume that I'm using for Resolve, because I want an NVMe thing. But as soon as I threw it on there, no problems. And I can pass that through without an issue. So that was an issue. Those 2 things. For the Windows VM particularly, not much. I mean, there's a lot of great information, and Proxmox has a great page on all the things you need to do for a Windows VM. So I followed that. I remember this like when I was in LA at the remoting and late at night, I had this epic battle with what was I doing? I think I was, because it's always like this fun thing of like, where do I put when you're learning Proxmox anyways, where do I put my VMs? Where do I put the Proxmox itself? Where do I back stuff up to? Mm-hmm. So I was just going through all these like configurations of disks and where it goes and, speeds and all this. And I was trying to reconfigure where stuff went. And so I was getting ChatGPT to help me migrate Proxmox and all my VMs to a different thing, different disk. Mm-hmm. And there was this whole hullabaloo with Windows where when I had first installed the VM, it apparently enabled BitLocker, and I wasn't aware of that. And so something about when I migrated the OS, it was just throwing a fit. And and this was one issue where ChatGPT really helped me figure it out, where I was like able to go in some like recovery mode and get like the BitLocker encryption key and like punch it in there. I'm like, it's like 60 characters long, and I'm like punching them all in manually because you can't copy paste. So, hey, and it worked, but it worked. Yeah. It worked. So that was one of the things I was like, oh my gosh, like finally I do something at 1 a.m. that actually results in success, and I can go to bed happy and not like, I'll deal with this tomorrow. That's like a
diffusing a bomb kind of situation. You're looking at all 60 characters, like, all right, I'm going to press enter. Is it going to work, or is it? Oh, yes. Man. So you mentioned you were remoting in, what do you use to remote in? Like Tailscale or WireGuard, something like that?
Well, I use what I really like for networking that I have at the office right now is just the Unify, the Ubiquity stuff. Mm-hmm. They have WireGuard sort of built into that. Mm-hmm. And that's worked great to go in there. Before that, I was just using like the L2TP or whatever it is. And it was fairly slow and not really reliable. Man, I was impressed how fast WireGuard was and is. It's crazy. At home here, I'm still like, I don't have that yet. I just have like a TP-Link router from, I don't know when. But it does the job with my 1 gig connection, and I'm able to use OpenVPN right on it. I know some, like I'm reading, guys set up, virtual machines for like, pfSense, the Tailscale and wire, or all this stuff. I'm like, that's like, that for me, that's next level. For you, that's probably old hat. But for me, that's like a next level. So for right now, it's just like a normal router. I do run a couple Raspberry Pis for Pi-hole, just to, for my, ads and network safety with my kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's about all I do there. And I mean, that I could migrate to a VM and probably will at some point.
Oh yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet. So I'm just using OpenVPN on my router, and it's working so far.
I mean, to be honest, well, with my the router that I just have the dual modem router from my ISP because I was too lazy and too cheap, of course, to go and actually get like a different, decent one. So I'm just doing Tailscale on mine. So the fact that you're doing OpenVPN, you're already doing more advanced stuff in your home lab, your home setup than I am, because I'm just like, I can't be bothered right now. It's working, but yeah, it's one of those things that I do need to get up on. And you mentioned pfSense and OpenSense and that. I have a VM of those. I dove into it, and I'm just like, this is going to be an undertaking. I need to take a vacation just to be able to learn this.
And that's what I spent. That's why I said it. It was a kind of a fun time suck because, and it's interesting. I've had many periods in my life. Because part of what I do too is like I do the color, but I'm also sort of label myself as a post-production engineer. Mm-hmm. So I do think a lot about, because for me it's like, when I went back to like, there's nothing more sort of sweat-inducing than having playback that isn't real time when I have people that are expecting to see their movie. I want to be able to sit down at a machine and like get in the creative flow. I do not want to be diagnosing problems, to be fixing anything, to be wondering, why does this not look or feel the way I expect it to? Yeah. And so for me, getting into the post technical engineering side of things is putting focus time into that so that the solution works, so that when I need to do the real work, for me anyway, it's good to go. And so I jump between both of those to make sure that both of those are, both of those worlds are working as I want them to.
Nice.
So that so when I'm in the technical mindset, I'm thinking, how do I make my creative mindset easier? And the funny thing is, it's easy for me to spend a lot of time in that place because it's part of it is fun, and part of it is like you can always tune it a bit more. You can always squeeze a little more out of it.
Yeah.
But and at some point you got to call it quits and say, okay, I got to do the work.
Yeah.
So it has been, and I can always give myself the excuse of, well, it will benefit me at some point, maybe, right? But like for certain things, like I mentioned, SRIOV, things like I'd like to figure out PBS, the Proxmox backup server, just for even things like file level recovery. I'd love to be able to have from my VMs, especially with like Houston, where it's like there's all these like little config files that I forget that are there that I set up. Love to be able to pull that off if I forget how I set something up in the first place. So there's all those things I'd still love to figure out. But you know what? The machine works and it works great.
Oh, that's good.
It's super quick at everything that it does. And so, I've, as soon as I finished like a few weeks of, a lot of working on this, I put together my schedule for the end of the year and realized I am completely booked until the end of January. So I'm glad I got this all figured out and set up. So
yeah. Good problem to have, suffering from success. But yeah, it's like once you put in perspective there, it's just like, oh, my next X amount of months are just completely booked out for me.
Yeah. So this is definitely back burner now.
Good.
But it'll work well till then. I'm confident of that.
Oh yeah. So when you got the system there, you get it all set up, anything like that, what was were there any like things that you really liked or didn't really like from either a hardware, a software, or setup perspective? Like, what were your thoughts on that whole process from opening up the box to final, like it's in set it and forget it sort of mode?
That all went quite smoothly. The documentation you guys had from both the hardware and the sort of logging in for the first time was perfect. I like the kind of the PDF with the screenshots and the like, just even if it's like an iPhone photo, like I just want to see the thing I need to see and move on. I don't need it to be like necessarily pretty or like laid out nicely. I just need the info, man.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That I'm glad that that was great. Of course, like as soon as I took things into my own hands and like, okay, what is Proxmox? How do I know that I can use it for this, but I had never touched it before. I'd never seen the interface before. So, getting that loaded on there and figuring out, okay, how does IPMI on this machine work? What options do I have in there? And, all that was a bit of a learning process. But of course, you guys don't need to, get exhaustive because there's other people who have done it already.
Yeah.
From a hardware perspective, great. I mean, no problems there. It was nice to have like all the extra, power supply cables in there for whatever else I needed to throw in there. Even just things like, you guys mentioned, we like to route the SATA power cables behind the little 3D printed thing, just so it's, great. I wouldn't have thought of that, but there's a little space for it. That's nice. That all seemed very well thought out and designed. Obviously I love just being able to, pull out 2 screws that don't fall on the floor to pop the case off, the top of the case off to work on it.
Spending 15 minutes looking for it. Yeah.
Exactly. One thing I do need to find is a magnetic screwdriver with a bit of a longer thing, so I can unscrew the brackets or the PCI cards a little more. Because I've got longer screwdrivers, but they're not magnetic, so it's a little hard to get the screws in there. But
funny enough, I actually ended up buying just a Klein telescopic screwdriver from Home Depot. I think it was for that exact reason, because I was like, my my thing there. It's like 8 different bits. Of course, I only use like one of them. But I was like, makes sense. Electrician's screwdriver, magnetic, perfect, good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think it's like great choices, like in every aspect with the machine. I mean, big fans on the front to just push air all the way back through the case. Perfect. The motherboard choice, I think, I'd not heard of that board before, but that's, in my mind, that's one of the most perfect boards you could get for that kind of application, because you have the PCI lanes for everything. I put 256 gigs of RAM in there, so because I want Rocky to have tons of ARC caching, and Windows needs I gave it 64 gigs and stuff. So, accessing that is easy. There's enough power to run all the stuff I need to run. So just really well thought through in every sense. I don't think I would have designed or chose better components.
Nice.
Had I, like I mentioned, I mean, the reason I won this in the first place, my entry for it was saying, like, I kind of built I call it like an HL6, quote unquote, like 2 years ago or something like that. Because I thought I can throw it, the Houston UI will run well enough on a motherboard that, doesn't have all the, the module support or whatever. Yeah. But I got like a tiny, like mini ITX super micro board. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now, but it had like a little eight thread built-in Xeon D processor. I think that was like, you can't take it out. I sort of jerry-rigged some additional cooling with a Noctua fan on there, because I had heard stories and thought I should just give it a little, because it was just like a passive heatsink on the CPU. So I threw that on there, but it had 2 10 gig copper ports built into it. It only had one PCI Express slot that I don't know if I ever used, but that's really all I needed. And it had 8 SATA ports. It may have been 6, and I might have used them all. I don't remember. But anyway, I just plugged all 6 drives in a little fractal design case straight into the motherboard, ZFS, 10 gig ports. That's all I needed. Yeah. And it ran great. And this board, this to me just feels like a way expanded version of that. It's got 10 gig built into it. It's great. I was using that until I got the 25 gig NIC figured out. And so to get data quickly in and out of it, that's the fundamentals. Beyond that, it's like, how can I just really optimize, just add optimizations for my workflows as I need them. And this thing has tons of room for that. So, yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned the Frankenstein system there, because that's kind of how mine was set up before I took the internals out of it, put in HL15 chassis. It was, I can't remember the brand name, but it was like the model was P128, something like that. It basically looks like a giant old like Betamax system, like VCR sort of thing. And I was just like, okay, what has the most amount of drives that I can put in? I think it had 8 to 10 that I could throw in there. And so I had a X10 DPL board, 2 Xeon processors in it, 2 active cooling fans, and it had 3 fans in the front for everything else. And when I tell you, this was in my living room, by the way, and I have a small cottage style home. When that thing would boot up, when I booted up in the morning there, back when I didn't have it running 24/7 and my power bills weren't exorbitant, it was like a jet engine. Like my dog would wake up, start barking, didn't know what was going on. And since I moved to the having the Noctuas in the system and everything, the way that it really became a Frankenstein system is because I was like, okay, I'm done dealing with how loud this is. I have to have my TV like on max to even hear anything. And so I unplugged the active cooling. This was like 3 years ago. Unplugged the active cooling. Always a great sign. First thing to do. I was like, those are the loudest. That'll be fine. Of course, immediately starts overheating. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to get some Noctua fans to go directly onto it. So I have that. And then I have them zip tied hanging in the chassis, just pointing directly on them. And as long as I didn't move it too hard or anything, they would stay in place. It would work. Like, it was a Frankenstein to end Frankensteins. It was rough, but yeah, now with the Noctua fans in it, a lot better. I can have the active cooling in there. I ended up buying a Noctua 2 active cooling, and with this old board and these new coolers, they are like pretty much just sandwiched next to each other. It is the clearance there is microscopic. But with your job and everything, how has the noise been on the system? Do you find it's quiet? How's that?
I was just going to mention that. Yeah, that's what was coming to mind. Because I do want it extremely quiet in my working environment. Mm-hmm. So typically that means at the office that all the machines are in the server closet. Mm-hmm. My room there is a bit bigger than here at home, but everything is. All the machines are in the server closet. I'm right next to it, so I can just run. How I've got that is I've got one of the old Intel Mac Pros. Mm-hmm. Those are fairly quiet as well, but that just sits in the server rack because it's rack mountable. So why not? And I just run an optical Thunderbolt cable into like a multi-port thing on the desk, so I can plug everything in. HDMI can be run pretty long these days, so I just run long HDMI cables to all the displays, and so there's nothing in the room. It is dead quiet. It's beautiful to work in.
Oh yeah.
At home here, a little harder to do that. So the HL15 is right up behind this closet door here.
Okay.
So I needed it to be quite quiet. And I remember I knew that you guys had put a ton of effort into making it quiet, and I put extra money into the Noctua Chromax Black because I thought, why not?
Yeah, of course.
I'm only getting it once. So.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
So, but I mean, I took it in and I unboxed it and I plugged it in, through I remember like a monitor or a network cable or whatever I did, and then pushed the power button, and I thought, it's like I can see the fan spinning, so I know it's on. Mm-hmm. I don't hear it. The lid was off and everything. I was like, I don't even hear it. I remember that moment. I called my wife over. Of course, she doesn't care. But I'm like, look, it's not. You can't even hear it.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's nice, dear. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's just like, but look how cool it is. It's so quiet. You can't even tell. There's like,
if you knew like the server I could get off of Facebook Marketplace, some HP thing, and turn that thing on. Yeah. If you knew what that sounded like, that would, Yeah. So very pleased with that. Even like, so I put it up in the closet. I should also mention, on the other side of this room is our hallway, and so I cut a hole through the wall, put a vent cover from Home Depot. Ooh. And I got 2 more Noctua fans with a speed controller. So it's just pushing the air out constantly. So it comes in under the closet, goes up to where the server is, and then it just gets sucked out basically, right?
Oh, so that's nice.
So it's a very small, effective, because otherwise, like as soon as I turn those fans off, even with the vent there, mm-hmm. It gets very warm up there very quickly. Mm-hmm. As soon as I turn those fans, I've been up in there like with my head in there. As soon as I turn the fans on, it's just like the temperature, which is great. But I threw a few more things in there. I think obviously the GPU has its own fans in there, which are actually quite quiet as well. So even with like those other Noctua fans, the GPU in there that spins up. I think the only thing I can hear sometimes, I think it might, I don't even know what it is, but it might be the CPU cooler potentially spinning up a lot once it's under load. Oh, yeah. Sometimes that happens. I actually I haven't even looked for what it is, but I can hear some fan whirring up. Mm-hmm. And it could also be the GPU as far as I know. I mean, I've got I think my, the NVMe carrier card has a fan on it. And of course, all these fans are like tiny little, like cheapo $1, whatever, 80 mil things. Mm-hmm. So who knows? It could be any of those things, but like for how many things this thing is doing, I mean, like I can barely hear it humming right now, and there's nothing else going on in this room. So nice. I'm happy. Yeah.
So follow-up question, do you have any pictures of your network closet, or that your home lab sort of closet that you made there?
I do. I think I sent them to you guys late last week. It's a little hard to get photos because it's kind of dark. I've been meaning to like just put a light up in there just so I can like get up in there and work. So I could send some photos, to put in this. But the bottom half of the closet is just like mostly, I don't know, like arts and crafts supplies for the family. Again, we got to optimize the space. I got another shelf where I've got like, funny enough how I'm running the 25 gig to my machine, because my main machine I just upgraded to an M4 Max MacBook Pro with like 128 gigs of unified memory, and it is. I was actually a little mildly. I think I was mildly surprised. Yes, that I can play back. I can render from RedRaw R3D quicker on this MacBook than this GTX 470 Super. That's like this big. Like how are they doing that in this like thin sheet of aluminum? I have no idea.
It's just magic.
Wow. Okay. I do want to. Another card that will fit in there, I know, is there's a new. I think it's like a single slot form factor NVIDIA 4000 Blackwell. I think it's got 24 gigs of memory in it. That some guy tells me he can have me one by November. Oh, so. Nice. I would love to throw that in there. Just more GPU memory for what I do is pretty important. This
always
one has
a bonus.
12-minute, which is and also I don't know if it has active cooling in it, which is also very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, pictures. Yeah, the way that I'm running 25 gig is a little interesting because anyway, I got this MacBook Pro, and obviously I can't put 25 gig on it easily anyway. So what I ended up doing is finding out, Chelsea actually has Mac OS drivers as of like this spring.
Oh, wow.
Great timing. So I can buy a Chelsea 25 gig card, PCI Express for quite cheap. It's like $100 on eBay or something. Put it in a PCI Express enclosure, Thunderbolt enclosure, which I already have. And then I just actually, because I had an extra optical Thunderbolt cable, just ran it from my desk here over to the closet. So I literally have this 25 gig thing like right next to the HL15 with a little DAC cable. And that's how I get my networking.
Nice.
Yeah, it works great.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have to run a long optical or a long 25 gig cable or anything to do that. I mean, it would have been cheaper than a long Thunderbolt cable, but I had that anyway. So anyway, yeah. So I got a whole shelf with that 25 gig thing set up on it, and then just some power so I can plug in client hard drives and offload it onto the system, and some just cables and stuff that I need. And then the shelf above that is the HL15 with. It has to. I don't have it. I have to sit it sideways so I can access the front, which I don't really need to do, but access the back, very important. So I kind of get on the side around that, and then there's the closet is quite high, so above that I have a half shelf with the UPS on it and a little network switch, and it's all just kind of I'm just try to organize all the wires because to get up in there I got to stand on a stool and stick my head up in the top of the closet and fiddle around, and oh my goodness, I cannot wait till. This is supposed to be a temporary solution at home. I'm hopefully probably going to get my own space next year at some point. So I can actually put this thing in a rack and get behind it and not be sweating and cursing when I can't figure out which way this USB cord is supposed to go into the thing because I can't see it.
And you're 6 tries in, you're like, okay, this defies any sort of laws that exist. It's like, this should be working by now. When I heard that you had something like that set up, because every time I go onto Reddit, I'm always going on the Home Lab subreddit or Mini Lab and just kind of seeing their setups is, mind you, one, extremely jealous because of the way they have them set up.
Who is doing this?
I know for a fact I am not the creative type. I like imagination. Like when they were doing that out, it's like -6 for me. But I was like, okay, this makes me feel even worse. But at least now I can kind of bandwagon off of these and maybe at least dream about setting it up. Because again, when I actually get into the nitty gritty and look at how they've done this, I'm like, okay, this is a much bigger undertaking than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. there are some very polished. I mean, I love the folks who have, say they got the unified gear, so all the front of the rack has to be that like light colored silver or whatever. Like, everything is that color. How did you do it? And all your network cables are white. I don't.
Yeah,
it's just not my universe.
Yeah, just like how it's like, okay, you can do all this networking, you can do all this, but you also have like great taste in color and like how to kind of diffuse everything, how it all comes together. It's like, that's just not fair. Like, pick one.
Yeah. Well, that will hopefully be me in the not too distant future. I mean, it is at the office. I mean, I got open. The funny thing is, one of my first accidentally viral. Well, I think I say one of the first. I think the only accidentally viral social media clip I ever made, and I think you guys reposted it. This was like 2 years ago. I had ordered a bunch of like new, like I think 18 terabyte drives for our S45 at the office, and I filled out. It was either like 15 or 30 of those, and so I just took some clips on my iPhone and I'm like shoving them in one by one into the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, because it was they posted like on their, or reposted on their Instagram, things like that, and they shared it around the office. They were like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, because the way that it worked out is I knew that like these new iPhones had this, like they were just very good at recording ambient audio, and it sounds like ASMR type when you put on headphones and listen to it. I'm like, I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna comment on anything. I'm just gonna like put that phone close, and like the crackling of the cellophane as you take the drives out of the little baggies and like dropping them in. I'm just gonna do that and throw it on the internet and whatever. It'll just be fun, right? And it just had like millions of views, and like everyone, I had, obviously this is not my universe, but gamers joking about this is what it takes to run GTA, downloads GTA 6 or whatever. Yeah. It's the version. No, again, not my thing, but so I got some traction and with those folks, I guess. So it's all like that whole rack is I designed that, I built it, all the Ubiquity networking gear and space to put external hard drives, the Mac Pro, the server, the UPSs, and I've got, it's kind of like it's a small room. So the rack is on one side. I've got like backlighting on the rack. So you open the door and it's nicely lit. On the one wall is just like a cable hanger storage organization system. So I can just open the door, grab a cable. Very nice.
That is very nice.
It takes, what is it? Maybe 15 square feet that I don't have that here.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I guess, few last things that I have for there. Going forward with any of the HL15 stuff, do you have any future things that you plan on doing with your system, or in general, are there any things you'd like to see in a future iteration, like more I/O in the front panel, anything like that you may have thought of at any point?
Great question. I mean, I have a feeling that your new chassis here might be solving a lot of this thing, but the longer GPUs, of course, would have been that I didn't even think about when I got. Happy to have it, but that I didn't even think about when I got the machine. I thought, I don't think I can put like a 5090 in here. So I did a bunch of work on it, but yeah, that would be the main thing. IO is. Like for me, I do need to plug quite a lot of USB-C drives into there. Even sometimes people get a lot of times just drives that only do Thunderbolts. That's not a problem. I can plug it into here, and I'm pretty sure Thunderbolt is a little trickier on these kind of systems. But having that kind of IO is important to me because that's a way that I get data onto the machine. So any kind of that is great. Of course, if you have 25 gig networking, you can put anything on the machine quickly. Yeah. So, that's at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. Yeah. Really. So, I don't think so. I wasn't even aware till this point. Like as soon as I looked at the specs of the board, I said, this thing has 17 16X slots. 7 16x. That's crazy. I didn't know that was technically possible these days.
Oh yeah, there's some other boards too. Like we're talking like getting into deep enterprise, like where they want to spec the whole thing out with GPUs that are just insane when it comes to PCIe slots. But for like regular normal people like you and I, like consumer grade, yeah, it's quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, up to that point, I was kind of generally aware that the EPYC chips had a lot of lanes. Like I've watched enough Linus videos to know. But yeah, I was just shocked because before that, I was just used to like older Intel stuff, really. And in terms of like the storage stuff, and I mean, like my main workstations have always been Macs. So I mean, I was actually pleased as punch when I was looking around and found that Chelsea has drivers for Mac OS now, because up till this point is like I think Sonnet has a card. Yep. That's like $1,000.
Yeah. There were a few people.
Awesome, but like, wow, that's expensive.
Yeah. And the thing is too, it doesn't even get you're never going to hit that max theoretical. Like there were some 10 gig ones I was looking at, and might be wrong. Don't come after me, Sonnet, but they were like, max 920, like it wasn't even advertising the full 1 gig or the full 10 gig, which fair enough. Like you're not saying max theoretical, you're putting the actual one there, but it's like, is it going to actually get that 920 or is that their max theoretical? It's like, not sure, but yeah.
It was one thing that was kind of interesting about the little HL6 box I had built was, I think the controllers on the 10 gig controllers on that card, on that board were X550s, pretty bread and butter, reliable 10 gig things. And then I got a Sonnet. Sonnet has like the Solo 10G, 10 gig to Thunderbolt thing, which I plugged into my Mac. And I don't know. I remember I did some tuning in, on Rocky. But I was getting out of those, I mean, sure, the ARC cache had something to do with this, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's about the experience of using it. But just using the Blackmagic disk speed test on that 6 drive array with, a decent amount of level, I had 128 gigs of RAM in it. And, I'm not sure if I ran an L2 ARC in that or not, but I was getting like around 1100 megabytes a second, which is like basically line level, but like straight through to the machine, which I was shocked by. I don't know how I did that. I just rolled the dice and got lucky, I suppose. So I'm still trying to figure out, like, I've got 2 NVMe cards. I've tested them, using your guys' benchmarking tool in there. I know they can do like, I think it's like north of 8,000 on the array. And like, I know I should be able to get, my goal is, 2 gigs a second over 25, which I think is, reasonable.
I think so.
So I'm still, I think, I can't remember. I have a Chelsea card in there now, and I think there may be some, I've got a two Chelsea cards, I think. Honestly, I've been like, Mellanox.
Nice.
So Mellanox and Chelsea, some combination. I can't remember which one is in the server and which one is connected to obviously the Chelsea is connected to. Oh no, I do have because Mellanox has a driver on Mac OS that works out of the box. You can just plug it in and it works. You don't have to install a driver.
Interesting.
But it's limited to the MTU is like max like 2048 or something weird like that. So I just kept it at 1500. Kind of cool. Like it'll do like 1600 megabytes a second through the whole pipeline. But only on the read. I think the write is like around 10 gig levels. And so I'm basically waiting for the Canada Post strike to be over so that I just ordered what's the Intel card? I think you guys sell it with the 25 gig one, the DA2, XXB.
Yeah, X710, I believe. Is the card there? Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got one of those on order to throw in the server just to see if there's any differences.
Nice.
And then I've got a Chelsea card because it has a driver, so I can do the 9000 MTU and all that on Mac OS. So I'm just waiting for those to come in. That's my next, like, when is the strike going to be over?
Yeah.
Because I want to throw this in there. See how it goes.
I have no idea where that's at right now. I was like looking every couple of days and I'm like, same thing. It's like, all right, I guess it'll be over when it's over sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then
in the meantime, it's great for me because I'm getting actual work done and, I can fiddle around later when I maybe have time to do it.
Oh, man. So we're right about an hour there. Really appreciate you popping on everything. Do you want to do if you want to do any shout out on Color by Ryan, any projects you have, YouTube channels, anything, I mean, go right ahead. I mean, I'm sure people will be interested to, follow you more, see what kind of stuff you're doing. Cause I mean, I've loved this conversation with you. I'm sure other people want to see more what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, on YouTube and Instagram, it's the same thing. Color by Ryan. I use the American spelling just to make it easier for international people. Maybe that's not
smart.
Maybe I need to stick Canadian, I did this well before January of this year. So, Color by Ryan on the TV there.
Yeah.
I do post. I've been meaning to post. I did like a walkthrough of sort of my previous iteration of the home suite that people quite liked on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'd love to do another one of this. I'm a big believer in making technology work so that the creative can just flow. Mm-hmm. And so as much content of that sort that I can put out, I would love to do that. I was going to say too, I know that virtualization in post-production is becoming more talked about these days. There's some guys, they do a podcast called the Offset Podcast, and they're post-production professionals in the States. And they're talking about, we could run our entire thing up in the cloud almost with virtualization. But I think they're thinking about maybe we just buy a massive enterprise machine that can run everything, kind of what I'm doing here on a bigger scale, right? And so, and they're the ones who are you can pass through the GPU. And that was kind of my kick to say, okay, I could run Resolve on a virtual machine in here and have it process all my data, basically. Mm-hmm. And in theory, it works. In practice, it a little bit of trial and error. Yeah. But it's becoming more of a thing. And I think, post-production, the budgets are, any industry, probably the budgets are always tight and you got to, always try to squeeze out of your dollars what you can. Mm-hmm. And I think virtualization is definitely a great way to go about doing that in post-production. I'm wanting to explore that quite a lot more and share my findings as we go. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what you got coming up next and everything. Like I said, all the work that you do on with your own home server in your workplace and everything, it's always so fascinating to hear from you. And the last thing I'll kind of ask you there, as since you're a colorist, I'm sure people are going to make note on how you have this beautiful sort of setup with the Edison lighting and everything behind you. And I have this ghostly pallor on me here. It's not much different than my actual complexion, but any recommendation? No, I just knew somebody was going to mention it. So I'm like, let me get this out here now. But
hey, if you guys want to talk more, we can talk about some, color theory and, setting some things up. I'm happy to, chat more about that.
Listen, if you can make this look like that, I'm going to pay out of my own pocket. They can start docking my wages, but Ryan,
it was great to chat.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our chat here and everything. And I'll be talking to you and looking forward to seeing those photos there.
Yeah, have a good one.
You have yourself a good rest of your day. All right. See you now.